Hey, what's up, guys? Sean here with BlueRidgeSilverhound, and today we're going to polish off some of that dust off of those proof sets that you might have holed up in your collection, and we're going to get up close and personal to a few of them. Today, in this video, we're going to take a look at a few of my absolutely favorite Lincoln scent varieties that you're going to need to pay attention and see if you have them, because I'm telling you what, if you guys saw my video from last week where I talked about how proof sets are starting to trend upwards only because there's investors and collectors kind of doing an old hoarding scheme with them, yeah, there's a pretty big reason for that, all right? Number one, people are looking for some of those deep cameo coins that they could send off to PCGS or NGC, turning around these coins to the open market and selling them for maybe $200, $500, $1,000, $20,000. Oh my God, it's a lot of money. So that's one way that people are taking advantage of these proof sets that for the longest time were some of the most unloved, just throwaway type of sets, coins, US coins that people did not want. Oh man, I think today we want them. We want them bad enough, so badly that we could taste it in our very mouth. But we're going to be talking about some of the coolest double dies in here. Yes, that's the second reason why people are buying up these proof sets. They're searching through them for some of these notable varieties. And they're a can't miss, that's for sure. If you're going to miss out, then I don't know what to tell you, bub. Because some of these coins, even on their face, even if you don't send them out to grading, are worth some money. And they're really cool to add to your collection, by the way. If you could find these, good for you. They're out there. So I got about 5 or 6 coins. I have found every single one of these varieties, save for the last bonus coin on the list. But it's real simple, guys. Grab a proof set, wipe the dust off of it, or buy more, whatever you'd like to do, and get on top of a magnifier and look for your Lincoln scents. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the first coin on the list, 1960. All right. So we are getting into a very popular date, 1960 proof coins. Of course, the Lincoln scent. It's kind of the more center stage coin of the proof set. All right, you could find a small date, which is kind of like the low-hanging fruit of the proof set for 1960. It's really easy to see with the naked eye. But there are much more valuable coins aside from that $40 small date that you could find. We have 2 of them on the list. All right, they are some of my perennial favorites. So the 1960 proof set, there were 1,691,602 total sets made, all right, which is effectively the mintage of every single coin in that set, going all the way up to the Franklin half dollar. All right, but again, like I've said, the 1960 Lincoln cent is the one that a lot of people are paying attention to, all right, for the mere fact that there are a number of really cool varieties. Okay, now I'm telling you a few varieties in this video. However, there are other websites, there are other different types of varieties to look for outside of the 5 or 6 that I'm going to talk to you about today. So keep that in mind. Grab a sheet of paper right now, pause the video while you do that, okay, and then hit the play button, because here are a few of my favorite websites to look for. You don't necessarily need a cherry picker's guide because they're not out there, all right? People want an arm and a leg for a paper version of that book. And while the new publisher, I believe it's Krause Publishing, that is producing the new Cherry Picker's Guide, it's only going to be a matter of time before that's released. But here are my favorite websites in no particular order. Coppercoins.com. That's Chuck Daughtry's site. All right. Lots of attribution on there, a lot of varieties to look for. VarietyVista.com is another one of my favorites. DoubledDie.com is another one, and LincolnScentResource.com. And finally, all right, the credit to all of the photos in this video, of course, goes to PCGS.com. You could also look for these varieties on there as well. A lot of the Cherry Picker's Guide varieties are in proud display on their website. If you go into the price guide functionality tool, you search out your date, and then see if there's a variety tied to that particular date that you can look at close-ups and faraways and whatever you want to do. All right, so this 1960 Lincoln that you see here is indeed one of those varieties. This is the triple die Obverse FS103 in the Cherry Picker's Guide. Of course, you got over 1.5 million proof sets to look through. This is actually quite a common proof set in spite of its semi-low looking mintage figure, because there's just a ton of these out there. Now, you know, people love these because they got the 90% silver. But if you look up close, this one right here, and I'm just going to use my mouse pointer to kind of like guide you to specific, I guess, diagnostics. You know, that's the correct terminology of these coins. But you can see some of the inner curls here, right here, will have a doubling to it. And a little bit of tripling, so you can actually see triple curls here in a 9. You have a much fatter tail on the 9 as well. You can even see this here on the tip of the 6, and then the bottom of the 1 is a little bit fatter too. You know, plus it has kind of like a rounded bottom there, where you would have the tripling effect of this. But in addition to that, we also have a little bit of the TDO on Liberty. You can see it mostly on the letter Y right here. You can see the extra Y factor in there. Plus, you can see some extra thickness on a lot of the other letters of Liberty. This is going to be your main focal points of this particular coin. Now, if you're lucky enough to find these, okay, graded examples can sell for as high as $700, okay, and then anywhere in between, depending on what you have grade-wise, or if they're not graded, you know, they do sell for a little bit more. I always recommend, folks, if you can afford to send these coins to a grader, and it doesn't matter which one. It could be PCGS, it could be NGC. My personal favorite, just based on cost basis, is Annex for varieties. They are fantastic. That would be another good one to use. I would highly recommend it. It's just going to make it much easier to sell when the actual attribution is printed on the label. When you could do that, then you are in like Flynn. You could sell this thing, you could add it to your collection, you could try and collect them all, right? Collect all the double die Obverses and triple die Obverse, or just all the varieties for a specific date. That would be a really awesome short set. All right, so there is another 1960 Lincoln. There is a few of them, all right, but these are a couple of my favorites. So there is another one. This is a large date over small date. So this is the proof version of the popular Business Strike 1960D large over small date. I actually have one of those as well. But this is another one that I encourage you guys to be on the lookout for. This one is white hot, and people are looking for this example. All right, so upon closer examination, it looks very similar to the large over small date Denver Business Strike Lincoln Cent. All right, so you do have kind of like the extra small tail here on the top of the 6. All right, that's poking through. That's actually the small 6 of that smaller date. And then you can see just some of the overlapping of the large over small. You can see it really clearly on the 1 here. Okay, you can see the small one, and then you can see the larger one on top of that one, and of course the 0. All right, you can see the actual splitting right here, where you can see the smaller 0. This is an incredibly strong variety to look for. It is also the FS101. It's the main one for the date. These coins can range in value all the way up to about $1,500 to $1,700, depending if it's graded, if it's top pop, you know. But generally, on an average, if you sold this coin raw, you could probably get a few $100 for it. All right, pretty nice. That's a good amount of money for a proof set that normally would sell for about $20 to $25 on the secondary market. So these things are beginning to go up in price. One day, you know, knock on wood, God forbid, that these things hit $30, $40 per proof set. I mean, the mintages are pretty low. All right, so it's all a supply and demand issue at that point. But this is a fantastic variety, guys. Be on the lookout for this one. Highly recommended. All right, so we're going to move up to another date that's a little bit more common. I mean, there are quite a bit more 1963 proof sets that were produced during that time. In comparison to 1960, the figure is nearly double in mintage compared to that particular date. But this is also a date that not a lot of people pay attention to. There's not a lot to look for in 1963 proof sets other than Deep Cameo. But however, I have a great one for you here right now, ladies and gentlemen. We have a really nice doubled die reverse. This one is FS801. So this is the word America in United States of America, and I turned it sideways because it's much easier to see. But you can see just the doubled notching here on the A. The A is probably the strongest diagnostic for the doubling in United States of America. Okay, you can even see it on the C as well. This is incredibly crazy right here. You can see a little bit on the I. You can see it more on the top. You can see the double notching here on this this leg here of the R. And then it kind of dies off as you go to the left of that. So this is an amazing variety. I have found about 6 of these over the past 15, 20 years. Not particularly hard to find. It's not like I bought a ton of 1963 proof sets. These are out there. I've cherry picked them. I've bought just the set with this variety, and it is a phenomenal coin. All right, so mintage wise, I forgot to even bring that up because that's important. 3,075,645 total pieces, total sets were produced. And that is the effective mintage limit of each one of those coins in the set. Value range. Oh, by the way, let's go ahead and take a look at a few other diagnostics before we dive into actual values of these things. But you can see a little bit of thickness in E pluribus unum. All right, a little bit of notching in certain areas here on the E, L. You know, kind of like in the S here, you can see a little bit of a fat-bodied kind of curve right here, and then the tops of unum. All right, but you see less of the doubling in states. You might pick up a little notching here on the top of the S, maybe here bottom right of the A, top right of the T. You know, certain areas like that. But here is also cent. Okay, this is quite strong. You can see it mostly on the word cent. You can see the splitting here on the top bar of the T. You can see this right here at the bottom of the T. And then also in the end, you can see this pretty distinct split line here on this diagonal part of the N. All right. And you can see little elements of it going all the way to 1. All right. So 1 cent will have some pretty strong doubling as well. Here's the next coin. Oh, by the way, values for that 1963 DDR can be somewhere in that kind of like $40 range all the way up to a couple $100, depending if you had gotten it graded. But that coin is a pretty easy sell raw. So if you do have it and you don't need it, you want the extra money because you're a really good cherry picker, you could go ahead and do that as well. All right, so here's another one of my favorites, only because that there is a small date variant of the 1970s Lincoln cent. It's kind of been like that marquee variant that everybody associates with this date and mint mark. And that same can be said in the business strike coins, all right? The coins that were made for general circulation use. The 1970s small date has always been a coin that people want to search. It's kind of like a top fiver, if I had to guess. But this one right here is a large date variety that you need to be on the lookout for. And this is one that I found about 3 of these. They're getting increasingly hard to find because there was a lot of just overall kind of like eyes on this particular date of a proof set, and it's understandable. You know, it's the last date of the 1970 half dollar as well. You know, so there's a few coins to look out for in this proof set. But this one right here, ladies and gentlemen, is doubled die Obverse FS102. This is also a large date over small date variety that I love. This is compared to the 1960 that we saw. This is probably a little bit better my favorite coin. 2,632,810 proof sets in 1970 were produced. Again, the number I dropped a little bit from 63, but that's okay. There are still quite a few of these out there to fulfill demand. Right now, I can't really say if that's going to be the case in 12 to 18 months as these things are being scooped up. So we just may see the market dry up for 1970s proof sets. We'll see. But if we were going to get up close to this, man, this thing is particularly strong. all of the numbers of the date are affected in some way. I mean, take a look at the 1. All right, so you got a large one over a small one, and it's kind of like, it's funny looking. All right, and the same with the 9. You got kind of this fat double tail right here of the 9. Same with the 7. On a much better image, you can actually see the split at the bottom of the 7 and the 9, and you have a much fatter oblong 0 in the date as well. If you were to compare this with a regular 1970s proof coin, the numbers would be a lot skinnier. It's almost like night and day, guys. I would say this is a variety that is so close to being one that you could see without the aid of a magnifier. I always recommend carrying a magnifier, and they are available for cheap out there. I even have some on my Amazon links down below. All right, I don't get paid a whole lot, but you know, if you guys need a quick, easy access to like a $6-8 magnifier, they're the best. All right. So this one right here, absolutely bar none, one of my favorite varieties. Okay, look at Liberty. It looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. All right, each and every single letter in Liberty, probably to a lesser extent, the letter L is going to be puffed up and much thicker in some way. All right, and then plus you're going to also have the top tail of this Y right here, kind of cut off. It's a little bit shorter. I seem to find those on a lot of this FS102. So this is one I would say definitely keep an eye out for. This is a phenomenal variety. Values of these can be as high as $400 to $500, especially for nice high graded examples. Generally, raw examples of this coin I've seen go for about $100 to $150, which is not too bad if you elected that you wanted to sell the set with the variety in there and just make it the center stage feature coin of that particular sale, then you will have made some pretty good money, about 5-6x in certain ways. All right, and then we have a 1971S. So we're getting into the much more common type dates. I didn't get the production mintage figures for this date, but it's going to be close, somewhere in that 2.5 to 3 million mintage range. Early 1970s proof sets were widely available. All right, there are quite a few of these. There are a few of very distinguished double dies for 1971 that should be on the top of your list. If you have one of these proof sets, make sure you get under a scope and make sure that you're not overlooking any of these double dies. This one right here is FS101. This is as impressive as FS102. So they're kind of like hand in hand, but we're only going to profile the 101 that you see here on screen. Now take a look at the date. You have some pretty phenomenal notching. You have some pretty clear doubling in all numbers of the date. All right, the mint mark is normal, of course, because those were punched independently into the working die. But this is, ladies and gentlemen, one of the strongest doubled dies. I mean, take a look at Liberty. This is unmistakably one of the strongest doubled dies for proof Lincoln cents. The FS102, I would say, is just marginally stronger, a little bit more distinguished as a variety type. But this one, ladies and gentlemen, this is 101. This is the first one here. The motto will feature less doubling. You can see a little bit here on the top of the G and the O and the D. All right. A lot of the other letters will just appear thick. All right. This one, incredible variety. It is also one of the most valuable too. Sales of these coins can go as high as $5,000. Keep that in mind. This is a very appealing, very desirable double die along with FS102. They are both on the same wavelength in terms of value, but man, up to $5,000 for a nice high-graded deep cameo version of this coin is just really appealing. If you wanted to cherry pick and make a few bucks in the process, you can't go wrong with the 1971S doubled die Obverse FS101 and 102. And then finally, it wouldn't really be kind of one of those Lincoln cent proof variety type of videos without at least talking about one of the most widely searched varieties, and that's the 1990 No S Lincoln cent. All right, this is the variety right here. The S was inadvertently left off of this particular die. For whatever reason, it could be a clogged die, it could just be an overpolished aspect of it. It really doesn't matter. It's supposed to have an S mint mark. This one does not have it. This one right here, right out of the gate, if you found one in a proof set and you did want to grade it, congratulations. Enjoy the money. That's about a $2,000 to $2,500 coin without the grading. But if you did get it graded, the value doubles. Just like that, $4,000 to $5,000 in certain cases. We've seen a few sales here recently that have been within that dollar range. But ladies and gentlemen, be on the lookout for this. If you have like an old collection that you haven't been through of just proof sets and just mountains of it, make sure you're looking for the No S 1990 Lincoln Cent. All right, so this is going to kind of wrap up the first part of the proof set variety search. We're going to do some of the other denominations here in the next few weeks, so be on the lookout for that. These are all supplemental videos to the video that I had posted last week about the resurgence of proof sets and how people are just scooping up these things in large volumes and quantities. At the very least, you guys are going to know exactly what to look for so you don't leave anything on the table. Whether you're enhancing your collection or you're trying to cherry pick to make some money, this is a great way of doing it. I want to thank you for joining me on this journey of proof set hunting. I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for all of your support as usual. Coinaholics, we are discovering together. You guys take care. Best of luck in all of your searching endeavors, and I will see you on the next coin video.